Yesterday we learned about the upadanas, or graspings, and we learned that there are 4 graspings or 2 graspings. So the 2 are lobha, attachment, and deity, wrong view. Now when there is upadana as a condition, the action follows. The action according to the grasping. When there is action, there are the results of the action also. So, dependent upon graspings, 2 things arise: acting and results of acting. Now the 9th, I think there's a 9th, the 9th link, upadana paccaya bhava, teaches us this relationship between graspings on the one hand and acting and results of acting on the other. When we study Buddha's teachings, and especially when we study the dependent origination, it is very important that we understand the meanings and connotations of the words used in this teaching. If we do not properly understand the meaning or the connotation of a word, then our understanding of the whole teaching will be deficient, and sometimes we may misunderstand the teaching. And there are some words which have meanings that are different from what we usually understand. And the word bhava is such a word. Now the word bhava, when we hear the word bhava, we understand that it means what? Existence, or life, or rebirth. So this is the usual meaning of the word bhava. Here, the word bhava has another meaning also. And we will understand this when we look at the next link, which is bhava paccaya jati. Now, how is jati translated? Again, jati is rebirth, right? So jati is rebirth. So bhava and jati are the same. Bhava is also rebirth, or life, or existence, and jati is also rebirth. And rebirth really means rebirth and all that come after it. So if we take bhava in upadana paccaya bhava to mean rebirth or existence only, then we will have trouble when we come to the next link, bhava paccaya jati. It would mean existence is conditioned by itself, and which is absent. So we have to understand the word bhava in a different sense. And here the exposition itself in the Abhidhamma and the explanations given in the commentary help us. So actually we owe a lot to these expositions and these commentaries. Without these commentaries, we would not be able to understand the teachings of the Buddha correctly and properly. So considering the next step, next link, we know that bhava must mean something other than rebirth. So it cannot be rebirth, conditioning rebirth, or conditioning itself. So bhava must mean something other than rebirth. And so in that link, bhava means cause of bhava, not the bhava itself. Since there bhava means cause of bhava, in this link, upadana paccaya bhava, bhava must mean that also. So in the link upadana paccaya bhava, bhava means both the cause of bhava and also bhava. So it means two things. The first one is the cause of bhava, and the second is the bhava itself. Okay. Now, how come the word bhava means the cause of bhava? Now, sometimes we use words, we use the name of the result for the cause. In everyday language also sometimes we use such expressions. For example, say if you are diabetic, or if you are afraid of diabetes and you see sugar, then you say, oh, it is diabetes. Or if you see salt on the table, then you say, oh, it is high blood pressure. So when you say the sugar is diabetes, that means sugar is a cause of diabetes. And when you say salt is high blood pressure, you mean salt is the cause of high blood pressure. So in the same way, here when we say bhava, we do not mean the ordinary bhava we are familiar with, but the cause of bhava. So something that conditions or that causes rebirth. And that something is, as you know what? Karma. Right? So there are two bhavas to be understood in the link upadana paccaya bhava, and the first is called karma bhava, and the second is called upapatti bhava. So we have two bhavas here, karma bhava and upapatti bhava. Now, karma bhava means karma, right? Now here it is explained that not only volition, but also some mental states that are concomitant with volition are called karma. So normally we say karma means volition, but here karma means not only volition, but also some mental states as covetousness and others. And upapatibhava here means rebirth. And there are 9 kinds of upapatibhavas given in the exposition. You don't need to know all 9 now. So there are 3 sets of 3 bhavas, and actually they overlap each other. So you may just note that upapatibhava means rebirth or an existence or what we call life. Includes sensual sphere, sphere of matter, and sphere of immaterial sphere, so all these, and also the 4 woeful states. So actually any kind of rebirth is included in these 9 upapatibhavas. Now if you remember the first link, you know that karma is mentioned there as sankhara. And here in this link, karma is mentioned as karma bhava or as bhava. So there is a repetition of karma in these 12 factors, or say in this doctrine of Paticcasamuppada. So why is there the repetition of karma here? Now the commentary explains that karma as sankhara belongs to past life. So there sankhara is a condition for vijnana, and that sankhara belongs to past life. Here karma as karma bhava belongs to present life. So since they belong to different times or different periods, so they are repeated here. I mean, karma is repeated here first as sankhara and second here as bhava. Now in the second link, sankhara paccaya vijnana. So vijnana is conditioned by sankhara. Now, is vijnana all that is conditioned by sankhara? Or is that statement all inclusive? There is one realm where there is only matter. Although they are called beings, they have no mind, so they are called mindless beings. Since they are mindless beings, they have no vijnana, they have no consciousness. So the second link, sankhara paccaya vijnana, does not cover the relationship of the sankhara or karma here and the realm of mindless beings there. But here in karma bhava, it is included, because here the formula is bhava paccaya jati. So jati means all rebirth, including the mindless rebirth also. So in order to include that mindless rebirth also here, include the cause of mindless rebirth also here, it is repeated. And it is said that volition only is called sankhara. But here, volition along with its concomitants such as covetousness is called bhava or kama bhava. So there is a little difference between sankhara and kama bhava. Sankhara means just the volition, wholesome and unwholesome volition. But here, kama bhava means wholesome and unwholesome volition, and also it's some concomitants. Now you may have noticed something that seems to be inconsistent between the links avijja paccaya sankhara and upadana paccaya bhava. Now, avijja paccaya sankhara means karma is conditioned by avijja. Upadana paccaya bhava means karma is conditioned by upadana. So there is something that looks like discrepancy. There, avijja is said to be, say, the cause of karma, and here upadana are said to be the cause of karma. If you understand Abhidhamma, there would be no problem, because ignorance or moha is concomitant with all unwholesome mental states, on all unwholesome types of consciousness. So whenever there is or there are unwholesome mental states, there is also moha or ignorance. So although it is not mentioned here, because here as upadana, when we say upadana is the condition for bhava, then we virtually say upadana along with ignorance is a condition for karma. So actually these two links mean the same thing. Because when we take one, we take the other also, because they are connected. They are like a group. Now, if you remember the rounds, 3 rounds, kilesa vata, kama vata, and vipaka vata, so you'll see that ignorance and craving and clinging or grasping belong to what? You cannot see it, it's too small, right? So belong to kilesa vata. So if you take one that belongs to kilesa vata, you have to take the other 2. So when you say the upadana here, you have to take also ignorance. So in essence, these 2 statements, these 2 links mean the same thing. So when it is said that avijja is a condition for sankhara, it means avijja, not only avijja, but avijja along with craving and clinging or grasping. And when here it is said that grasping is the condition for karma, it means grasping along with avijja and craving. So actually they mean the same thing. So this link teaches us that dependent upon 4 kinds of grasping, kama bhava and upapati bhava, or karma and rebirth arise. Now let us see how how the karma bhava and upapatti bhava arises dependent upon these four graspings. Now the first one is what? Karma grasping. Let us call karma grasping. So karma grasping means desire for anything, any object in the world. So when you have a strong desire for something, you will try to get it by any means. You may snatch it away from the other person, or you may even kill him, or you may cheat him or something like that. So when there is a strong desire for something, you will do something to get that thing. And in trying to get thing, you acquire karma, and that is karma bhava. And as a result of that karma bhava, either good or bad, there will be upapatti bhava. There will be result as mental and material aggregates. And those mental and material aggregates that are result of this karma are called upapatti bhava. So depending upon the karma upadana here, the karma bhava arises here, and as a result of this karma bhava, upapatti arises in the next life. Suppose you heard someone say, or you read in a book, that the world of celestial beings is a very happy place. There is only enjoyment of sensual pleasures, and there you live very long, and there you do not know suffering which are peculiar to human beings. So when you know about the celestial beings and their, say, pleasures, you may want to be reborn as a celestial being. So if the desire is strong enough, you will do something so that you will be reborn there. Now, sometimes you may pick up a good, correct book, or you may approach a good teacher, and the book or he will direct you to do some meritorious deed, like practice of dana or practice of sila. And following that, you practice dana or you practice sila. Now, your practice of dana and sila is the karma bhava, conditioned by your desire to be reborn in the celestial world, or conditioned by karma upadana. As a result of your practice of dana or sila here, you will be reborn there. You will get a rebirth there. So that rebirth is the upapatti bhava. Sometimes you get the wrong information, that if you want to be reborn as a celestial being, you must sacrifice an animal, a lamb or a cow, or even you must sacrifice a human being or something like that. And you believe it, and since you want very much to be reborn there, you will do the sacrifice. That means you will kill an animal, or you will kill a human being. And so that killing is what? Wholesome or unwholesome act? It's an unwholesome act. So that unwholesome act, that unwholesome karma, is conditioned by your desire to be reborn in the celestial world, or you are grasping to be reborn in the celestial world. But as a result of that unwholesome karma, the upapatti bhava you will get will not be the celestial world, but it will be rebirth in hell or the four woeful states. So the rebirth in four woeful states is the upapati bhava, and the sacrifice you do here is the kama bhava, and both of them are conditioned by the grasping, kama grasping, that is the strong desire to be reborn in the celestial world. And suppose someone says that in the Brahma world there are finer enjoyments of sensual pleasures. Now you know that according to the teachings of the Buddha, that there are no sensual pleasures in the world of Brahmas, because the Brahmas have only three senses, the eyes, ear and mind. They do not have the sense of smell, taste or touch. So even the two senses of eye and ear are not for enjoyment of sensual pleasures, but to see the Buddha and to hear the Dhamma. But in other teachings, say in Hindu teachings, even the Brahmas have wives, so they may have sensual pleasures in those realms. So when you hear this and you want to be reborn as a Brahma, and then you practice jhana. Now your practice of jhana is kama bhava, conditioned by the desire or the grasping to be reborn as a Brahma. And as a result of that jhana, you will be reborn there. And that is the upapati bhava of the grasping here. So the desire to be reborn as a Brahma is also called kama upadana, because kama here means anything that is the object of desire, not just sensual pleasures. So depending on the kama upadana here, that is to be reborn as a Brahma, you practice jhana, and that is kama bhava, and as a result of that jhana you are reborn there, and that is the upapati bhava. Okay, now deity upadana, wrong view grasping, and bhava. If you do not believe in the law of karma, if you do not believe in karma and its results, then it is very likely that you will not refrain from doing akusala, unwholesome acts, and you will not want to do wholesome acts, because you will not get any good result from the wholesome acts, and you will not get any painful results from unwholesome acts. So what you will do is just for your own happiness and enjoyment. You will do anything, whether just or unjust, to get happiness for yourself. And so if you do something that is wrong, and that is the kama bhava of your wrong view grasping, and as a result of that you will be reborn in the four woeful states, and so rebirth in the four woeful states is the upapati bhava of wrong view grasping. We find some people who may not believe in karma and its results, but who do good. Now there are people who make generous donations to charities, say building a hospital or giving a great amount of money to some humanitarian foundation and so on. Although they may not believe in the law of karma and they do not expect good results, they still do good to help people in this world. So if they do like that, and their practice of dana is their karma bhava. Although it is conditioned by non-belief in karma, their karma bhava is a good one. So as a result, even though they do not believe in the result of karma, they will get the results of karma according to the teaching of the Buddha, of the law of karma. So the rebirth they will get in the future is the upapati bhava, conditioned by the wrong view, grasping, and the practice of charity here. Their practice of charity here is the karma bhava of that wrong view. Now, Sīlābhada, grasping, and bhava. If you believe that acting like a dog, or acting like a cow, or acting like an animal can lead you to liberation, and you practice as such, then your practice is the karma bhava of that grasping, and as Buddha said, yesterday, your rebirth as an animal or in hell is the upapati bhava of that grasping. But if you think you can better practice the acts of animals, say when you are reborn in a celestial world, and so you try to you try to practice charity or sila, say, to be reborn there, then the Sīlābhada grasping is a condition for your kusala karma bhava here. And that kusala karma bhava will give results as rebirth in the celestial world. So in this way, Sīlābhada grasping can be a condition for the kusala karma bhava and a better, say, rebirth.
But I missed the point where you say you believe in that so that you can rebirth into the celestial world. What did you do?
That means if you are reborn as a celestial being, then you can practice as an animal better, and you can better practice. You can better follow this practice. See, if you are not, if you don't have to, to go through some sufferings as a human being. So this is what is explained in the commentaries. So I have something to say more. If you remember only the behavior of animals as Sīlābhada, it may not be convincing here. But Sīlābhada can mean also the real practice of dana and also the practice of sila. So if you think that you can practice dana and sila better when you are reborn as a celestial being, and then you practice accordingly, then your practice is the karma bhava, and your rebirth there is upapati bhava. The fourth upadana, attavada, grasping, and bhava. Now, attavada grasping is a belief in soul. So a person who has this belief will think that I have a soul and I must do something to improve my soul so that one day, say, it gets liberation. And so in order to improve his soul, he may do meritorious deeds, and then as a result of meritorious deed he will get a good rebirth. Or if he is misguided with the intention of improving his soul, he may do something wrong, like the sacrifice of an animal or something, and then as a result he will be reborn in the woeful states. So there is karma bhava and upapatti bhava, different karma bhava and upapatti bhava, depending on, say, how he acts. So this is how grasping conditions, karma bhava and upapatti bhava. And among these two, karma bhava is more important, and karma bhava is the direct consequence of upadana, and upapatti bhava is actually a secondary result or the secondary consequence of upadana. And the upapatti bhava and jati are the same. It is better, say, to take bhava here as karma bhava. If we take that way, it will be easier for us to understand. But since our books explain bhava here to mean two things, say, we have to follow them. But if we take bhava to mean just karma bhava, it will be very clear. We don't have to explain why why two bhavas are meant in this link and only one bhava is mentioned in the other link. So according to this link, whatever we do, either good or bad, is conditioned by one of these four graspings. So what about our practice of Vipassana meditation? Is it conditioned by grasping, upadana, or is it not? So according to this link, we cannot avoid that Vipassana is also conditioned by upadana. I think it is conditioned by karma upadana. Now, we practice Vipassana because we want to get free from mental defilements. In other words, we want to get true happiness. Because only when we can eradicate mental defilements will we have true happiness. So we practice Vipassana meditation because we want to get that true happiness. So that desire for that true happiness, whether it is Nibbana or whether it is Arahantship, the desire is desire, and so it is karma grasping. So conditioned by that karma grasping, or influenced by that karma grasping, we practice Vipassana meditation. So our practice of Vipassana meditation is also conditioned by upadana. Now in another way also, we can say that practice of Vipassana is conditioned by graspings, and that is, we know what graspings are, and we know that graspings are mental defilements. And as mental defilements, we have to get rid of them. So we practice Vipassana meditation because we want to get rid of these graspings which are mental defilements. So these mental defilements, these graspings, are in a certain way responsible for our practicing Vipassana meditation. So in this sense too, our practice of Vipassana is conditioned by the graspings, all four graspings this time. And this second way is based on a statement made by the commentator with regard to kusala being conditioned by ignorance. Ignorance is a unwholesome mental state. But if you do something in order to transcend or in order to get rid of avijja, ignorance, then ignorance is said to condition the act of kusala. So following that, here also we can say that we want to get rid of these graspings along with other mental defilements, and so they are in a way a condition for our practice of meditation. Now it's okay that we practice Vipassana meditation dependent upon the four graspings. So it doesn't matter whether we practice Vipassana motivated by desire to overcome these mental defilements or not. But what the question here is, will Vipassana practice bring rebirth? Will it lead to rebirth? Now, when we practice Vipassana, or when you practice Vipassana, do you want to get a rebirth? You aim at a good rebirth when you practice Vipassana? No? Arahantship, yeah. Okay. But don't follow me with confidence. So, will Vipassana bring rebirth? That is the question here. Now, one commentary says that Vipassana will not bring rebirth, but it states also the opinion of a renowned monk that until one becomes an arahant, Vipassana will bring rebirth for at least seven times. And Mahasi Sayadaw pointed out that in the book of Patthana, which is the highest authority of Abhidhamma, it is stated that the highest stage of consciousness in Vipassana, which takes Nibbana as object, is a condition for rebirth. So if the highest consciousness of Vipassana is a condition for rebirth, there is no problem that the lower types of consciousness in Vipassana will bring rebirth. So, following the Patthana, again, which is the highest authority, we must say that Vipassana also brings rebirth. And if you consider the law of karma, you can easily accept it. Now, when you practice Vipassana, what is that kusala? Is it karma vachara kusala? Right? It is wholesome act belonging to sense sphere. So karma vajra kusala. If it is karma vajra kusala, it will give results. Right? You cannot prevent it from giving results, because the law of karma is a natural law. So if you do a karma vajra kusala, you will surely get the result of this karma vajra kusala. And the result of this karma vajra kusala is a rebirth, as a human being or as a celestial being. So that you cannot avoid. Now, if you put a seed of mango in the earth, even though you have no desire for it to grow into a tree, it will nevertheless grow into a tree if it gets the necessary moisture and temperature and the other conditions. So because this is a seed of mango, and if you put this mango seed in the earth, then it will grow into a tree. So that is unavoidable. So in the same way, what you do is karma vajra kusala, because Vipassana is karma vajra kusala. So what you do is karma vajra kusala, and so it must give results as rebirth in the karma vajra world. So we can accept that even Vipassana practice, Vipassana kusala, Vipassana merit brings rebirth as a result. Now the question is, why practice Vipassana meditation at all? If we are going to get rebirth by Vipassana meditation, why do we practice Vipassana? We can get rebirth. It's a good rebirth as a human being or rebirth as a celestial being by practicing dana and sila. And practicing dana and sila is less strenuous and is more comfortable than the practice of Vipassana. So why do we practice Vipassana? If it brings rebirth as a result. Now, if we look this way, Vipassana may not be attractive. But why we practice Vipassana is because Vipassana can lead us out of this round of rebirths. Now, if you look at this life, we practice Vipassana, and with the practice of Vipassana, we abandon the mental defilements little by little. Now, the first abandonment is the momentary abandonment of defilements. That means when you pay attention and be mindful of the objects, you are avoiding mental defilements from arising with regard to that object. That means you are abandoning or getting rid of the mental defilement momentarily. When your practice of Vipassana improves, then you will see that the mental defilements cannot arise even with regard to objects which you do not observe, which you are not mindful. By the force of keeping mental defilements away with the objects observed, you can keep the mental defilements away with regard to the objects which you do not observe also. So mental defilements become weaker and weaker as you make progress in Vipassana. And a time will come when the mental defilements are weak and the path consciousness or enlightenment arises, destroying mental defilements altogether. So Vipassana is something that prepares conditions for the magga or the path consciousness to arise. Without Vipassana, without this preparation, magga cannot arise. But with Vipassana, we attenuate, we make mental defilements less and less and weaker, and so they become so weak that they can be cut altogether with the arising of path consciousness. Since Vipassana can lead us to the eradication of mental defilements, we have to practice it. We don't need to look beyond this life. If we look to beyond this life, then we will think that Vipassana also brings rebirth as a result, and so it is not worth practicing. But if we look at this practice itself and what it can do for us, how it can help us, how it can help path consciousness to arise, to eradicate mental defilements, then Vipassana is the thing to do. It is not only worth doing, we must do it. We must practice Vipassana so that we can create the necessary conditions or preparation for the path consciousness to arise. So now you see the difference between ordinary wholesome deeds and, say, Vipassana practice. Although both are kama vachara kusala, wholesome acts belonging to sense sphere, there is this difference. The other kinds of meritorious deeds cannot by themselves lead to the eradication of mental defilements or lead to freedom from this round of rebirths. It is only Vipassana practice, Vipassana wholesome act that can lead us to lead us out of this round of rebirths. And so, if we want to experience true happiness, if we want to get out of this round of rebirth, then we must practice Vipassana meditation. We cannot be content with just the practice of giving, or just keeping precepts, or even just the practice of samatha meditation. 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 The practice of samatha meditation.